Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting Radio. EB Radio. EB Radio. Your station for empowerment presents Mom Boss Talk Radio, a show that brings real life, real moms, and real experiences to empower mom bosses everywhere to be ambitious, highly driven, fierce, fabulous, and fearless. Mom Boss Talk Radio begins now.
Welcome, Mom Bosses all over the world. It's another amazing Thursday, and that means that it's time for another great discussion with the Mom Bosses. So we are so excited and so happy that you're joining us. This show is 3 Mom Bosses that's going to bring you real life, real experiences to empower you as a mom boss. I am one of your hosts. My name is Jerisha, and I am joined by my 2 amazing co-hosts, Manietta and Kiana.
Hey. Oh, my goodness. This is so exciting. Now, either, if it's fiction, nonfiction, romance, self-help, okay, authors, female authors are doing their thing, okay? I think this is an amazing topic, especially for, Women's History Month, and I thought that it would be a great idea to kind of showcase a few authors and, how they impacted our lives in some type of way, or even just the genres that we all love. Me personally, I love a good fiction, okay? I love a good psychological thriller, okay? A little bit of romance on top of that. Those are the type of books that intrigue me. I love just the idea of imagination. I love seeing and reading books that kind of take you out of reality, because I have to deal with reality every day. Okay, so 2 authors that I've had the pleasure of reading. One's author's name is Stacy Dittrich, and the book that I read, The Devil's Closet. Oh my goodness, it is a psychological thriller with police enforcement, solving cases. It was so amazing. I read this book twice, and it takes a lot for me to either watch a movie twice or read a book twice. If it's good, it is good. Okay, and a few of her books also, top notch. I love her writing style. It's amazing. And then the second one that I read, the author's name is Erica Spindler, and it's also a psychological thriller. And, it kind of takes you away to, an isolated place, and kind of goes through the motions of solving a case of a town. It's really, really good. And it takes a lot. I'm really picky about everything, and it takes a lot to kind of pull me in. And once I'm in, I'm sitting for hours reading. I can finish a whole novel in a day if it's really, really good. And I do suggest those 2 books. And I'll bring up a few other books that I'm going to be looking at in the future. But ladies, dive into it. What are you loving?
So, okay, if I can go first. I just have to say that for one, I think one of the things that you mentioned is the fact that you love to read. And I think that, again, with it being Women's History Month and us being able to really highlight those authors, those books that we love, be it for entertainment, be it for development, the books that I normally read and enjoy reading is, everything that's personal development, all about growth. And so when I tell you, I was really excited because I'm like, yay, we get to talk about, some of my favorite authors, some of my favorite books. And there have been so many books that, we just feel like has impacted us, be it, again, whether it's entertainment, like, oh, you absolutely, like you just said, you absolutely got to read this. Or it's just like, you know what, this book helped me grow. It helped me develop. Yeah. You absolutely got to read that. And so for me, I have several, just like you. I have several. I think we all have several books that we just love. And it's like, you know what, absolutely, this is a must read. But for me, I'm really coming from those authors that I feel like have made a huge impact in my life as just on my journey of growth, as a mom boss. And so I was like, originally we were talking about, speaking about this topic, I was like, okay, I know there's a few. And then, of course, you start thinking about more. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So literally, here I am. And this is just in my library that I have, in my office. But I'm thinking of even outside of, literally I have about 7 that I just absolutely love that are my go-to. But again, so one of the ones that I'm going to highlight, and, ladies, if you've ever read or, heard of the book, please chime in as well. One of my favorite, and I say favorite based off of where I was in my journey of just being a mom boss, is Jen Sincero. And when I tell you, if you're not familiar who Jen Sincero is, she has the book series, if you will, where it is You Are a Bad ASS. She goes into, the first one I think she wrote was You Are a Bad ASS Every Day. I know she has the habits one. She has the one about money. And literally that was at a point in my life, in my business, when I needed that. I needed to feel motivated. I needed, to be able to read, and I was listening to it. So the first time I actually even came across this book was through Audible, was listening to it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, my gosh, this is so amazing. This is so good. And so Jen Sincero, again, You Are a Bad ASS Every Day. You Are a Bad ASS at Making Money. And then, of course, she had the habits one. And then there is a couple of others that I at least would kind of speak to as well, which, like you mentioned, and I'm sure all of us can really say this as well, that when you get that great book, whether someone recommends it to you or you just, happen to get it, purchase it, or listen to it on Audible. And if I can be totally honest, there are times where I listen to a book on Audible and it's so good that I have to purchase the hard copy of the book. So when I tell you, I don't even know how I came across this next one that I'm going to mention, but her story, her journey, I think that, and I think we all can pretty much say it's something when you can identify with the pages that you're reading. So, when you pick up that book, you're like, oh my gosh, this story is inspiring me. She is real, just as real as, all of us are. The book Believe It by Jamie Kern Lima, and her story of how she steps into entrepreneurship, is absolutely amazing. When I tell y'all, I picked, and she had, her personality, her personality is absolutely just fun and energetic, and you can feel that through the pages. And so when I picked up this book, I was like, okay, this is amazing. This is truly amazing. And like you said, it was one that I think I finished the book in a day. And I was like, oh, this is so good. This is so good, because you just don't want to stop reading. So Jamie Kern Lima, and again, the book's title is Believe It, How to Go From Underestimated to Unstoppable. Can I say just the title alone, I was like, you know what, yes this is so good. Right. It's so good. It's so good. So I think that, besides some of the other authors, such as Brené Brown, she's an amazing one as well. And so she has a book called Dare to Lead, Daring Greatly and Rising Strong at Work. I think that book is really amazing, and she's an amazing author. She has a TED Talk and everything else. But the last one, I could go on and on. But the last one that I will mention, too, that I think is a must-read, too, just us all being mom bosses, is Chillpreneur. So Chillpreneur is by Denise Duffield Thomas, and it is the new rules for creating success, freedom, and abundance on your terms. This book is another one that you will pick up, again, on your journey. If you have not come across it, if you have not read it, it is definitely a must-read book that will really just empower you on your journey, because at times we feel burned out and sick of the hustle and grind and all of that, and we need to really be able to embrace. And so she talks about getting over perfectionism and really embracing the flow of a chillpreneur. And if we can be totally honest, who doesn't want to be a chillpreneur? I'm like, I like just the book title. But what Kiana, what is it? I mean, is there any authors that may stand out, or any of the authors that we've mentioned that you have read or love and want to highlight?
Yes, it's funny because you had mentioned Brene Brown, and I fell in love with her when I seen her first TED Talk, and that she's amazing. But it's funny, this whole conversation. I'll just say, I know as a lot of us get growing up, I would definitely say Terry McMillan was one of my favorite authors, on an entertainment side as far as reading. I think I've read all of her books. I know Sister Souljah was another one, growing up. I think she just released one not long ago also that I need to look into. So, just a few Mary B. Morrison, on the entertainment side. But I just want to say this conversation, when we had started talking about, our show, I just thought back to, being little and first being introduced to books and, how exciting it was as a child, to just get lost in these stories and just let your imagination run. And it's so... this past weekend, my 7-year-old and I were looking through some books, and I had found this book, and I know I couldn't have been any more than 4 or 5, and I still have this book, but it was such a great book that I've kept it all these years. I've read it to, my nieces growing up, the girls growing up, and it's called Just Us Women, and it's about an aunt and her niece taking a road trip. But I think that was really one of the first books that, represented people that look like me, and it's just a really cute story. And so we had read the story, and she was like, oh, this is just such a good book. And just seeing the excitement, through her eyes of the story too, it was just a great feeling. And I just love that she's at that point where, she really knows how to read and, sounding out bigger words and, every other, word is, well, what does this mean? And so it's just been fun, and just, getting to go through that stage with her even, and just feeling that love for books for her. And, so that's really important, as much as we're kind of focused on, what books mean to us, just, sharing that importance with our kids even, is a really important thing too. So. I have to ask before we even move, I'm just in this on that. Do y'all remember the Book It program when we were in school, or did y'all have that?
Yes.
Okay.
No, yes.
That just popped up in my head when I was talking about the kids. I was like, oh, did y'all do Book It too? Like, oh, yeah, let me get my books read so I can turn this in and get my free pizza.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, with the library and the library and school. Yeah.
You know what, though? Can I say this real quickly? Because I think that you really brought up a really valid and important point as far as, just with how important reading is, and two, with having our kids and making sure, they enjoy reading. And I don't know if you both felt the same way that I did, but it wasn't until I started getting older that I really enjoyed reading. So it was that thing like when back in school, I read because we had to read different things, but it wasn't like the most enjoying experience for me until there was, like you said, the incentive, like, oh, you read this, you get this. So
right.
it was like, it was one of those things. And now I know that with my own children, I'm looking at different ways. So not just saying, okay, here's a book, but if you want to listen to a book, if you have that preference for wanting to listen to the book, let's look at that option as well, because I know I really enjoyed, and that was probably when I stepped into really enjoying it, and this is probably going to really date me, but when you could go and get, like, the books on tape and the books on, CD to listen to them. And that is what I can remember my parents getting those kind of, like the books on tape, and they would come in and the little the plastics, with the book, and then you have the cassette tape that you can play. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being able to listen and follow along. Nowadays, of course, it's totally different and it's high tech, which is amazing. But there's different tools and resources to really encourage kids and really adults, if we're going to be completely honest, to read more, because as we know, knowledge is power. So I just wanted to add that. I think you were going to say something else, Monyetta.
Well, to add on top of that, I was always a very avid reader. I loved reading. Anything literature, anything word-based, I loved it. And, just growing up, with coming with age, knowing that I can pick and choose my own, and I kind of fell into my own genres that I loved. And then with my kids, when I read to them, or, my daughter, she's 14, but when they were smaller and growing up, when I was reading books to them, I would always change characters. And that was even more exciting for me, changing the voice to kind of coincide with who they were. And it got them excited, because it's like, oh, my goodness, now you're different. You're seeing the characters come to life. And I think that was the big part for me, is like the imagination factor when it came to reading, because, a lot of kids, I think, are interested in being able to see a different place than what they are in reality. So, and I think that's what made me fall in love with it, because my mind was able to see the story in my head. It's like if it was a movie. And I think that's why I enjoy it so much. And I think that's why I don't like movies all that much, but I like reading more, because it's like you're kind of creating something in your head, even though it's just words on a page. So reading is amazing. And, also to piggyback off of what you were saying as far as like, self-care and self-help books, there is a book, Emotional Self-Care for Black Women. It's a powerful program to help you raise your self-esteem, quiet your inner critic, and overcome your shame. It's by Be True. That one. Also another suggestion, More Than Enough, Claiming Space for Who You Are No Matter What They Say, by Elaine Welteroth. So there's a plethora of books that you are able to, find your genre. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be, self-help. It doesn't necessarily have to be, psychological thriller. Find your something that's, that resonates with you and who you are. My love is not going to be your love, but I can always suggest something for you. And I'm a girl for psychological thriller. I love my psychology and mental health. Okay, so if I can get a hold of that, I'm doing so good. It really, and also reading also boosts, your energy. It boosts your mind. It gets you thinking, and it can actually kind of, help you through your day. Could take you away. To a great place. So that's what I wanted to add to it, because this conversation is, I can talk about books all day. And if you have any suggestions, or if you have a book, audience, if you have a book that you love, that you want to suggest that we read, definitely go onto our Facebook group, Mom Boss Talk Radio. Leave it there. Let's have some good discussions over books, okay, and the genres that you love. Yeah.
That's good. I think that's good. Go ahead. Kiana, were you going to say something else?
Oh, I was just going to ask. So now I know for myself, you had kind of mentioned as far as being in school and having to, we were forced to read then. But I remember a lot of the times, we would read a book and then get to watch the movie if there was a movie version.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all do that still to this day? Like if a book, comes out on movie, do you watch the movie if you've read the book just to see the differences or which one's better? Of course, the books are always better to me personally, but do you all do that?
I think I do.
I personally
but
don't. I don't.
See, I
Okay.
do, but I do because just to see, I think my thought is, like you mentioned, to see if, how different it's going to be. Most of the time we're always disappointed based off of, you know, because I think like someone said, that when you're reading, you're able to create that picture. You know what I'm saying? Like you're reading, but you're able to create it. And so when you finally do see the movie, it doesn't match up. It doesn't match up.
I'm like, who are these people?
Exactly. Like, it doesn't do it justice. So, no, I agree. I do, though. I mean, it depends on what it is, too. I think it depends.
Well,
because a lot of the books that I do enjoy is self-help books. And the only self-help book that I have ever even seen that they turned into a movie was Think and Grow Rich. And when I was like, oh, this is amazing. So that was, but, otherwise, I think that it doesn't do it justice. I think that books are go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think when it comes to movies, it's only so much they can do. And then plus, with that industry, that's a whole nother topic. But, they do things more of a profit base. They're not really, I don't think a lot of, directors, they're not trying to uphold the integrity of the book per se. They kind of just pick and choose out of it, plus too, budget wise, and then plus, what they are able to show on, a network or TV or movie. Like, so I guess it's a lot of factors involved when it comes to watching something, versus if you put it in the book, you can make it as, you can put as much as you want into it and make it as crazy as you want, and it's like, okay, now it's up to the readers to use their imagination based on the words that are written. So I've never really been too drawn to movies. I don't know why. That's just not something that I'm intrigued by, but a book, oh my goodness, you can do so much in your head with a book.
You can. I mean, and to be completely honest, reading, it stimulates your brain. So it stimulates your brain. It keeps it active. It allows us to retain, its power. And, so I enjoy, like, I love reading. And, so I love reading. And I think that this topic is really good because, as we've talked about on the show, just, really wanting to encourage and really empower other women. But again, this being Women's History Month, why not highlight some amazing, and we say amazing authors that we enjoy, that, like it was said, that you all may have recommendations as well. I would love to see us actually list. So we'll try to list some of the books that we mentioned in the Facebook group as well, so that you can actually, go out, whether you, get books at the library or just order it like on Amazon or even listen to it on Audible, that you can go out and purchase it. Because I definitely think that all the ones that have been mentioned, even the amazing authors that have been mentioned, like, it's a win-win. I feel like if you picked up any of the books of all of the authors that we mentioned, be it the ones we've said, the titles, or any other titles, it is a win-win for you, and it's different genres as well. So I'm really excited that we're having this conversation. Before we close out, anything else that you ladies wanted to add, just to the mom bosses out there?
Well, I think we've covered an array of within this topic. I enjoy reading. I hope everyone, if you aren't an avid reader, I hope you can find a genre that you can fall in love with, because that is self-care. Reading is self-care, taking some time out just to clear your mind and to read a story that can, resonate with you. is very important. Also, like stated before, when it comes to our children, literature is very important. We want to continue to put this, these books and genres in their lives so they can, see a bigger picture of the world. So, yeah, that's all I have.
Absolutely.
I'll just throw in, speaking about the kids again, a lot of cities now have, little book boxes where you can, not just for kids, for adults too, where you can leave old books that maybe you're not using anymore and take new books that you might want to read, for free. It's, usually out in different areas in the community. That's been great. I've been seeing those a lot more lately, so definitely, look out in your neighborhoods. That's a great way to find new authors also. So.
Absolutely. That's so good. That's good. That's a good, resource too, because, and this is so a little bit sidebar, but as we get ready to close out, that you mentioned like the book boxes, there is a sub box that there's out there now for kids, and I've done it for my kids in the past, and I'm sure they have it for adults as well, but a sub box where you can actually get different books, just a subscription box, and they'll be, depending on what age your kids are, and they'll send them to you every month for the kids. And, of course, you don't have to send them back. They just become, books you can add to your kids' library. And then I believe there is something similar, too, out there for adults. But ultimately, I think that with this discussion today, it's really all been about how important it is to read and not just encouraging each and every one of you that's listening to, pick up a book and read because there's so many benefits, there's so many health benefits that we don't even realize. And then it helps us to get smarter as well. So, we can expect to enhance our knowledge about things, and if we just only develop the habit of reading books on a regular. There's tons of book clubs and everything out there as well. So we truly hope that you have enjoyed hearing us talk about some of our favorite authors as we enjoy. And I'm sure you can just feel the energy and how we get so inspired and just love talking about things that's really going to empower us and in hopes that it's going to empower you as well. So we're so glad that you tuned in this evening. As you know, we are Mom Bosses on a mission to empower moms all over the world. Mom Bosses, please remember to be ambitious, highly driven, fierce, fabulous, and fearless, because you are making moves. You got this. Until next time, stay safe and be blessed.
Thank you for joining us on Mom Boss Talk Radio. Follow each of the Mom Bosses on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you love Mom Boss Radio, visit the website at www.envisionedbroadcasting.com. We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time.